Sorry. I played a lot of games this year that I loved, but a lot of them weren't actually released this year. And I want to start with those. So those are the like late to the party games, like people bigged them up, people loved them. I didn't get around to them, but this year I finally did, and it's about time, honestly, especially for some of them. So I'm going to switch up the music as I go. I think that'll be fun. The first game that I didn't get around to until this year, Dark Souls 3. So I played Dark Souls 1 shortly after it appeared on Steam for the first time. Loved it. One of my favorite games of all time, easily. Dark Souls 2 happened. Got it at release. I was super excited. Played through it and enjoyed it for the most part. It was pretty good. Dark Kryptonite. Thank you for following. I need to change the category to just chatting. There we go. Yeah, so Dark Souls 2. Played it, enjoyed it. Not as much as the first, but enjoyed it. Dark Souls 3 happens. And yes, I did get it at launch. And yes, I did peek into it. I played a little bit. And I could see that it was shaping up to be better than Dark Souls 2. But I didn't have time. Couldn't get into it. I stopped in the High Wall of Lothric very early in the game. And it just sat there in my Steam library for years. They announced DLC. It came and went. And I just didn't play it. Until this year. I played through Dark Souls Remastered. I played through Scholar of the First Sin. And then I jumped into Dark Souls 3. And actually got through it. Couple of playthroughs, got all of the achievements. Phenomenal game. Absolutely love Dark Souls 3. And while Dark Souls 1 will always hold a place in my heart, I do feel it beats it in several areas. And, I won't say too much about it, but the final boss of Dark Souls 3, chills. Absolutely fantastic game. It's a shame it took me so long to get to it, honestly. Because, mwah, just beautiful. Just beautiful. Right. With that out of the way, let's go to the second game that I did not get to until recently. I'm just going to set up some music real quick. Here we are. That's not the right game. Oh my gosh, Raiders, hello. Why aren't these in order? Hello, Raiders! We were just playing some Cultic. Now we're just talking about some of my favorite games of the year. You're not hearing the You weren't hearing music. Oh my gosh, I didn't set it up right. Excuse me. I will get that added right away. I hope you're all doing well. What were you playing? Let me just get you a shout out real quick. That's get a book. Fox. We got that there? Yeah! You were playing VR chat. Have you rated me before? I'm not sure. But either way, I hope you had a super fun stream, and thank you so much for the raid. For those who don't know me, I'm Azzy. I'm a gay dragon on the internet. Mouse playing Elden Ring. Yes, I can be turned into a mouse. Sorry, I'm very forgetful. Oh, and Poss is turning me into a mouse. Thank you, Poss, for illustrating. that feature. Right, I have to add an audio source because apparently I've been talking with no music for the past few minutes. That should be as simple as this. Add existing. Okay, that should do it. That should do it. That's one of the songs. I wanted to get all of the songs in the soundtrack. Save room song. There we go. The TF didn't work. There we go. There we go. Apologies, everything's messing up. Okay, so now you should have music and we can do this properly. I'm sorry, I hastily threw this together just because I really wanted to talk about the games I loved this year. So for those who just got here, I'm currently covering the games that didn't release this year, but I finally got around to them after sometimes many years of not playing them. So we covered Dark Souls 3, now Resident Evil 7. And like, to be clear, I'm not good with horror games. I've always said I'm not good with horror games. I played some Resident Evil 4 back in the day and loved that, but I've always thought that was more of an action game, you know? And the horror sort of took a backseat. And while it did have its scary moments, I was terrified by the regenerators, for example. It took it easy on me. But then I didn't play Resident Evil again for years. And this year, I finally went, okay, they moved it to first person. I have a new computer. I'm going to try 7. It'll be a good test for my new graphics card, and I'll see what happened to the franchise. And oh my gosh, what a great game. Either I am okay with horror, or Resident Evil 7 once again took it easy on me. Oh my gosh, Getterbook, thank you for the follow. And if I'm saying your name wrong, let me know. I'd love to pronounce it correctly. That would be wonderful. So yeah, Resident Evil 7 was just enough horror for me, I think. It had an incredibly tense atmosphere. Had me, hanging back in the corner, thinking, I don't want to go ahead. It was tense. The characters were incredible. Getterbook is correct. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, the characters in this game, the whole Baker family, were incredible. Like, props to all of the voice actors behind them. It was just great. Sleeping soon. Enjoy the rest of my stream. I will. Thank you very much for the raid. I hope you have a great sleep and a happy new year. Happy new year to you. May 2023 be better than 2022. Oh, the pats are appearing behind me. I can fix that. There we go. That should be fixed. So, yes, I gave Resident Evil 7 2 playthroughs. Found as much as I could. I played through all the DLC. It was a great time. No worries, Vinny. No worries. We've moved on to talk about my favorite games that I played this year. And yes, Resident Evil 7 was something special. Right, so apparently none of these pictures are in order, so I'm just going to turn this off and see if I can get this working behind the scenes. There's my slideshow. I can look at its properties. Good, I can cycle between things. Good. So. Ooh, I'm happy to be looking up this soundtrack. This soundtrack is also very, very special. A lot less atmospheric than Resident Evil, for sure. Still very good. So, the next game I finally played this year, Death's Door. And I did this on stream. Some of you might have seen it. It is a game where you play as a little crow, just killing a whole bunch of creatures, trying to live, basically. You're tasked with taking in a giant soul. The crows are reapers in this world. You need to reap a giant soul, and it gets taken away. And as long as you haven't fulfilled your mark, you age and you die, whereas you are otherwise immortal. So you, as this little crow, has to figure out how to get the soul that you were tasked with retrieving. And it has some heavy themes. It has some really heavy themes. You might gather from the name. But gosh. No pause. No one gives me anything without being financially responsible. But yes, just what a game. What a game. The music's incredible, the visuals are lovely, and it doesn't outstay its welcome. I 100%ed it. I didn't do it all on stream. I finished the main game, and then there was a bit of a collectathon kind of deal going on in the aftermath, which I did off stream because I didn't want to be running around in circles. But yeah, 100%ed it. Had an absolute blast with it. And even though it took me a while to play it, I'm glad I did. Truly. Very special indie game. Props to the developers. Just such a good time. Right, I'm going to get back in. Make sure I know what's showing up next. Oh yeah, that'll do. That will do. I really should have had these soundtracks ready in advance. Let's go for this here. So, the next game that wasn't released this year, but I loved, was Inscription. And I won't be able to talk about this one for too long. It is a card game. Gosh, you really can't say much about this one without spoiling stuff. It has an incredible visual style. Absolutely incredible. Interesting characters. And engaging card mechanics. But... yeah. But... yeah. It is something that needs to be experienced, as Breen says. It is one of many games that have released in the past few years where you just have to tell people, play it. Just play it. It's developed by Daniel Mullins Games, published by Devolver Digital, and it is a masterwork. You know, it's not perfect. I'm never going to say it's perfect. But it had me gripped from start to finish. Kept me intrigued. And they even went the extra mile and added an extra mode that you can play after you finish the main game. And I still need to go back to it, but I've heard very, very good things. And just gosh. Inscription, wonderful game. I can't spend too long talking about it though, because it's all spoilers. It's one of those games where it's all spoilers. Just if you have any interest in deck building card games and yeah, horror themes, just play it if you haven't already. Because it's incredible. Next game I'm going to talk about is another one that I can't talk about too much. And again, I'm going to switch over the music. And if you've played it, you immediately recognize the music. It's Outer Wilds. I have such a weird relationship with this game. I hated it. It made me feel stupid. It made me feel so incredibly stupid. But holy shit. What a game. It's the first game that I've hated all the way until the end. And then the more time that passes after finishing it, the more I realise just how special it was. It is... Again, you can't say much about it. It's a game that you play once. You can only play it once and retain the magic. Like... Yeah, exactly. Turns out I like games that have depth to them, you know? Like, the kind of games where the experience is the game. Like, that's a weird thing to say. You have to experience it. You have to experience it. You say about all kinds of media. All kinds of media, I wish I could go back and play that for the first time. I wish I could read it for the first time, watch it for the first time. And this is like the epitome of that. I have not played Superliminal. It's on the list of games I want to play someday. I have heard of it. I'm still blind on it. I'll definitely play Superliminal someday. But yes, Outer Wilds feels like the epitome of I wish I could play that again for the first time. Because it is impossible for you to forget the experience. Like with some games, it's like it has a great campaign, and you'll go back like years later, and it'll feel almost the same as playing it for the first time because you've forgotten the level layouts and such. Outer Wilds is, in a way, simple. You'll remember everything because once it all comes together, there's not much to remember. It's easy to keep in mind. You'll never experience it the same way ever again. And the only... Like, if you've ever had somebody just bugging you to play this game, it's because it's the only way we can experience it again. We have to live vicariously through others by recommending it. I will say it's a space exploration game. You explore and you learn. And you'll feel like an idiot. You'll be at the end of your rope constantly. But the payoff at the end of Outer Wilds is well worth it. Absolutely well worth it. Like... I mean, certainly of the games I've talked about so far, Dark Souls 3, Resident Evil 7, Death's Door, Inscription, if you were going to play any of them, Outer Wilds. Because it's truly special. And I'm getting emotional just listening to the soundtrack. Oh my gosh. Fantastic. Truly fantastic. I'm going to hide that. And I'm going to move on to some honourable mentions. I'm going to talk about them less, but I'm going to talk about them. Atomic, good to see you. Yeah, I'm glad you got to experience Outer Wilds, because... Gosh. What a game. I'm going to get our next soundtrack up. And so, yeah, these are the... Oh, Dragon again. 17? Oh, OST, there we go. So yeah. We've been talking about the games that I didn't play until this year, but still stood out now that I finally played them. So the next honourable mention... Ooh, I will hydrate. Thank you, Rex. So, the honourable mentions. Stuff that didn't quite make it to the peak for any reason. That was a shortcut on YouTube as well. Okay. Prey. Actively playing it right now. I cannot in good conscience, put this at the top in one of my favourite games because I'm not done with it. Some of you are watching me play it a couple of times a week, and I feel we're getting there. We're getting through the game, but we're not done. We're not done. Maybe soon, but the first-person shooter that I underestimated going in. I thought it was going to be a pretty short campaign, start to finish. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I don't love it. I am really enjoying it so far. But there's more to go, you know? Aven, good to see you. Prey is a lot more akin to games like System Shock. They're a lot more open, more places to go, loads of side content. And you can die so easily. You need to think, you need to use all of the weapons and powers at your disposal to progress. You can't trust the environment because of the mimics in the game that can be aping regular objects. It has a great atmosphere, and I'm enjoying it a lot so far. I really am. And no doubt, if I'd gotten through it in time, I would have been putting that in my, I wouldn't be calling it an honourable mention. It would just be in the regular list. I'd have more to say about it. But, alas. Just a few sessions off. But we should be ready for the next game, which is... Bunsen, hello! Here we go. The next game that I'm putting down as an honourable mention is Deathloop, another game played on stream. This one we did get through. And while I wouldn't put it in the tiers of everything else that I put in our late to the party games, Deathloop was special. Deathloop was very special. And Mike killed me a lot in it. Deathloop is a game about being stuck in a time loop, reliving the same day over and over, but you're one of the only people who knows that you're in a loop. Against all odds, you are trying to fulfill the conditions to break that loop. And the thing that stands out about this game has to be the writing. The character interactions are incredible. Your playable character, Colt, and his banter with the antagonist, Juliana, trying to stop you from breaking the loop. Masterful. Just masterful. They have such a funny dynamic. And it kept me laughing the whole way through. And I'm very glad I got to play it. I'm very glad that I had Mike in chat right now, and Danny. I don't believe he's here right now. It was great to have them utilizing the invasion mechanic to its fullest, trying to stop me from getting things done. It was good fun. And it's another game I can't really say much about. And if you were one of the people who watched me play it, you know why. Because again, once It's a game that you can solve, and once you've solved it, that's it. And, oh, that's small bottom boy. That's a third game that I can't talk about, despite it being one of the best games I've played this year. And it's a shame. It's by Arcane. You might know them from doing Dishonored. Gunplay's great. Soundtrack's nice. Characters are incredible. Oh, and yeah, they did Prey as well. The last game we talked about. Arcane have been putting out some bangers. Thank you for head pats. And honestly, even I'm I will hydrate. Even I'm questioning my decision to put it in the honorable mentions rather than the best of the best. Even I'm questioning it because great game, doesn't waste your time. Despite making you do the same stuff over and over again, it keeps it fresh somehow. And yeah, that's just impressive. That's just really impressive. Right. Time for me to get the next game up, I think. Yes, that is working. So again, honorable mention for game that I played this year that didn't release this year, but I love it anyway. Yeah, I'm pretty sure calling each other gay is very 2000s. I know the old stereotype. Next game we're talking about. Again, that is a hotkey that is on YouTube and my OBS. Titanfall 2. Short, to the point, some fantastic level design, very engaging campaign, just phenomenal movement mechanics. Just the wall running, being a pilot, fantastic. It falls a little short because I'm not really a fan of controlling Titans. But other than that, one of the best first-person shooter campaigns I've played in a long time. And I dipped into the multiplayer as well. You know, again, this is a game I streamed. I streamed some of the multiplayer, I streamed some of the all of the single player. It had a fun story. It has okay characters. You know, people seem to like the characters more than I did. Like the side characters. I found them serviceable. You've not played it yet, but you got it in the dollar store for like $10. Yeah, worth it. Titanfall 2 has a great campaign. The multiplayer is dicey. I have installed a fan-made client called Northstar, which makes the multiplayer good again. It has a proper server browser, it's all run by the community, and it runs fantastically. The official servers, they'll kick you out constantly. It's a bit of a mess. Northstar Client's the way to go for the multiplayer. But I just got it for the single player. I'm not disappointed at all. It's very, very fun indeed. I'm going to get our next honorable mention soundtrack up. Ba-ba. Let's turn that off. Make sure that we're lined up right in the gallery. There we go. Oh no. It's mixing up the versions. There we go. You upload a gameplay video and label it as the soundtrack. Unusual. Oh well. Next game we're talking about Resident Evil 2 Remake. I didn't play the original, so I cannot compare it to the original. But after enjoying Resident Evil 7, I gave this a go. Again, streamed the whole thing. And it was fun. I really liked it. It was atmospheric, just enough horror for me. Looked fantastic. And it was good enough that I played both campaigns, both Leon and Claire, through to the end. I might revisit it someday, because apparently it has second runs where you can play it again, and it's mixed up, it's different. I might revisit it. Because it's a great game. And from what I can gather, people are generally in favour of it. Resident Evil 3 less so, from what I've observed, but I might play that as well. I might play that as well, because I don't have the... Once again, didn't play Resident Evil 3. So if I do play it, I won't understand what they've taken out. What's different. I should do the second run. Yeah, definitely. Maybe October. Maybe in October for Spooky Month. I'll play some Resident Evil 2 Second Story. Maybe I'll make them bonus streams. Not sure. But I very much enjoyed my time with Resident Evil 2. I do know the ending of Resident Evil 2 was a cliffhanger, so I imagine that if you play the second story, it goes a bit further. And I'm down for that. Drew the Firefighting Fox, thank you for the follow, it's appreciated. Right, I need to get the next soundtrack ready to go, because we are moving on to my actual games of the year. The games that released this year. 2022 video games. I wasn't late to the party. I actually played them in the year of release. The day of release in some cases. Let's get our next soundtrack up. Get rid of this banner. Make sure I've got the right one enabled. There we go. Now, you'll have all heard this one. You'll have all heard this one a million times. Everyone's talking about it. Vampire Survivors. It's not the prettiest game. It's very bare bones. The gameplay is one button. One button and an analog stick, essentially. But its simplicity is where it shines. You're placed in a map. Depending on the character you pick, you have a different weapon. And you are endlessly swarmed by enemies. When you kill those enemies, they drop experience. When you fill up your experience bar, you get to pick a new power-up, or upgrade an existing power-up. It's randomized. No, not Final Fantasy XIV. I didn't start playing that this year. And yeah, so the waves of enemies get stronger. They come in higher numbers. And you're just trying to build up your character with new weapons, new upgrades, and trying to hit the 30-minute mark on any given map. If you hit 30 minutes, the Grim Reaper shows up and kills you to end the run. And you'll generally get unlocks. You'll unlock new weapons, new characters, new maps. And you'll sort of just do it over and over again, but it has an addictive quality. You want that extra run. You want to try new combinations of weapons, because it's not just that you upgrade the weapons, you evolve the weapons. Every weapon, well, almost every weapon in the game, has... it has something else. Another thing that you can get when leveling up. An accessory that if you have both of them, your weapon will evolve. It'll get different characteristics and be better. Your whip will turn into a whip that it absorbs health from your enemies. Garlic, which is an AoE, evolves to heal you based on dealing damage within the AoE. And little birds that circle your head and shoot out lasers. There are 2 of those. Max level both of them, evolve them into a single bird that wrecks house better than both of the other ones combined. There are so many combinations that evolutions rather, that you can discover. And you can use all of these weapons in conjunction with each other in different combinations and see just how far you can get. And it just keeps me going back for more. I played 30 hours of this little top-down pixely game. It's perfect for the Steam Deck. If you look at the Steam Deck stats, it is the most played game on the Steam Deck every single month since its release. People cannot get enough of it. And the best part? It's like, what, $4 or $5? It is so cheap. They've just released a DLC for it. It's like $2. It's nothing. And yet I've gotten 30 hours of play out of it. If you just need a game that you can jump into real quick, play for 30 minutes, and then put it down, and feel like you've achieved something, Vampire Survivors. It's great. Honestly, can't recommend it enough. And now, I've got to find our next soundtrack. I will specify, none of these are in a particular order. I feel games beat each other in different aspects. Some are good for some things, some are good for other things. None of these are above each other. Let's go for this soundtrack here. This all of it? Good. This is a weird one to include, but bear with me. Klonoa, the Fantasy Reverie series. These games are ancient. These are a PS1 and a PS2 game, remastered and put into a single package. I did not play the originals. I heard the tales. People loved them. Aftermarket prices were sky high. You could not get these games easily. But everyone would be like, yes, Klonoa, the game of my childhood. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. You've got to play it. And I didn't. I didn't feel like emulating it. And real copies were too expensive. So I just didn't. I just sat and I waited and I waited and I waited. And they announced this. The Fantasy Reverie series, both games, remastered, for better or for worse, in one package. And I played it. I got it basically at launch. And I don't usually do that with games. Usually I wait for a sale, but Klonoa, I wanted to send the message that I wanted to see more of this franchise, because I know just how passionate a lot of people are about it. And yet I can see why they're passionate. These games are so incredibly charming. The soundtrack is bouncy and wonderful. The story is oddly complex. Complex might be the wrong word. It's deeper than you'd expect from the visuals. You are Klonoa. You are what people affectionately refer to him as a cabbit, a cat rabbit. And he's a dream walker. He goes between worlds and solves people's problems. And that's a simple premise, but it works. It really works. Your weapon is a ring that, I kid you not, inflates enemies. You inflate them, and you throw them. And yeah, there, Vinny. I don't cry often with games. Yeah, Klonoa got me as well. Klonoa 2 got me as well. You inflate them, making them big and round. You throw them. You use them to double jump. And you solve puzzles with them. And it's simple, but it works. It's a game that's so simple that I don't have much to say about it. The characters are adorable. The story is enjoyable. It made me cry. It made Vinny cry in chat. It made 2 people cry. I know other people it made cry. They're so fun. They're just so fun. And if you're trying for 100% completion, if you're trying for all the collectibles, good luck. That's all. It's just good luck. Getting everything in like a single playthrough of the level, it's tricky, okay? It's tricky. You might not manage it. I didn't. I got all of the achievements, but thankfully the achievements don't require absolute completion. If you want all the gems at each level, nah, I'm not doing that. It can be done. I'm not doing it. If you want a platformer that actually pushes you a little bit, yeah, you could do worse. You could do worse. I'm going to line up our next soundtrack. Let's go. There's the OST. There it is. Trying to get it all in one video. And here we go. Even I don't remember this from the soundtrack. It's right, though. I'll skip to a random point in the middle. That's recognizable. Pokemon Legends Arceus. Jeez. There's a lot to say about this game that isn't flattering. It could use some work, graphically. It has a few bugs. But this is what I want from Pokemon. I've been playing Pokemon since Pokemon Yellow on the Game Boy. Generation 1. And it's a safety game, you know? I call it a safe series. You know what you're getting with each Pokemon game, because they don't change much. You get your gimmicks, you get your Mega Forms, you get your Terastallized forms, your Dynamaxes. But the core gameplay is exactly the same from game to game. They'll put in some quality of life changes from time to time. They'll take away some quality of life changes from time to time. But you know what to expect. You play the game, you gather some cute critters, and you do some battles, you know? I'm not a competitive Pokemon player, so I'm mostly in it for collecting the cute critters. I'll get each game on launch, and I'll just have some fun. Discovering all the cute critters. Legends Arceus mixes things up. It takes you back to Hisui, which is Sinnoh, Gen 4, when it's just being settled for the first time by humans. Humans that don't live with Pokemon like we used to in the other games. Pokemon are hostile. You know, they're not understood well. And you have to help document them. You have to make the first Pokédex. And that's incredible. Like, you're not just someone trying to fulfill a list just for the sake of going, I've found them all. You're actually doing research. It goes beyond just catch these Pokemon. Catch one of each. You have to catch loads of them. You have to see how big and small these Pokemon you can be. You have to see all of their moves. You have to fulfill loads of research criteria to completely fill a Pokédex entry. Because people don't know anything about Pokemon. It's ancient times, you know? Like, you're just settling this region. Everything's strange and unusual. And where it really shines is the change to the gameplay. You are wandering the world, and you are catching Pokemon. But you're not battling every time you want to catch a Pokemon. You are not running into random encounters. The Pokemon are in the world, and you throw a ball at them. You don't have to battle them. You can just capture them in the overworld. And the childlike wonder you get from that, like, that's what you want from Pokemon. And they hadn't done it until now. You actually have to, like, you are the one in the long grass, not the Pokemon. You're the one that is sneaking through long grass so they don't see you until you can throw a ball when they least expect it. And it's cool. It's just cool. Yes, you can battle them. You can send out your Pokemon, you can weaken them, you can catch them that way. And for some Pokemon, that is more reliable. Because you've weakened them first, and otherwise they're a bit stubborn. But you have the option. You always have the option of just sneaking and trying to catch them. And you need to take into account what you're going to do if you don't catch them in that first ball. Because a lot of the time, if the Pokemon's alerted, throwing the ball isn't going to do anything anymore. It'll bounce off. They're aggroed. They will chase you. They will attack you. They won't attack your Pokemon. They'll attack you. You will get charged by wild Pokemon. They will beat you up. You will have to be recovered by some of the settlers and taken back to town. That's awesome. That's so cool. And you are not taken out of that world at any point. If you go into a battle, you stand in the same place you were when you sent your Pokemon out. And you can run around while your Pokemon are battling. And you can physically run away. You can run far enough away that you withdraw your Pokemon and you just leave. And Rex, that's such a good point. The NPCs, like, in the start of the game, you find out that you are a modern age person. And Arceus, literal god, sends you back to the past. For whatever reason, as is explained in the story, but I won't spoil that. And no one trusts you. You've fallen out of a rift in the sky. Everyone's whispering behind your back. They don't trust you. And they outright tell you, look, you need to do some surveying for us. Be careful, because we don't care if you die. You know, the Pokemon could kill you. We don't care. Like, you do this work for us, and we'll give you somewhere to stay. You know, we'll make sure you're clothed and fed and housed if you do this research for us. And if you die, oh well. Oh well, doesn't matter. It's brutal. And it makes for one of the greatest Pokemon experiences I've ever had. And it comes with so many quality of life changes as a result. You can release multiple Pokemon at a time. Like, anyone who's ever done excessive breeding in a Pokemon game, imagine being able to release as many Pokemon as you want at the same time. You could do that in this. You can't do that in Scarlet and Violet. Even though Arceus doesn't have breeding, but that does. I really hope that it was a matter of two different tangents of Game Freak going off and doing different things at the same time. Because, yeah. These quality of life changes need to come back in the next generation. I want to see more unique takes on Pokemon like this, because this is how Pokemon should be. You should feel like a trader exploring the world and catching Pokemon like this. I want more. I want more Pokemon Legends. I don't want this to be a one-off. Because what they did with the world exploration, the catching mechanics, the new Pokedex, the characters, just give it. And yeah, I'll take Unova. I actually skipped Black and White. I need to go back and play them someday. It came out at a time of my life that I just couldn't be bothered with Pokemon. It's the one generation I skipped. Thankfully, they released 2 games in that, like 2 sets of games in that generation, so I didn't miss multiple generations as a result, but yeah. Legends Arceus is... I keep saying it, it's exactly what I want from a Pokemon game. And if they make more like this, if they can put time into games like this, I'm in. I'm just in. Yes, graphically, it can be a bit janky. It has some poor animation. Like, animation LOD, level of detail. If something's far away, it looks choppy as hell. But it makes up for it in the gameplay and what it does for the franchise. And I need to stop talking about it because I'm repeating myself, and I acknowledge that. But gosh. What a game. What a game. And it's definitely my favourite Pokemon game of all time. There's no real question for that. It beats out the nostalgia. Beats out the nostalgia. I am filling time while I get the next soundtrack up. Here we go. Here we go. This is a weird thing to go to next. It's Pokemon Violet! They released 2 Pokemon games, I loved them both. And while Legends Arceus is my favourite of them, this is like the second best thing for the franchise. It is so buggy. It is so incredibly buggy. It is incredibly ugly in places. I mentioned level of detail in the animations as they get further away from the player. So much worse in this one than Legends Arceus. It undoes so many of the quality of life changes. And yeah, I've had multiple crashes trying to finish it. Game just goes, no. Nope, error. It's gone. Back to the Switch homepage. And yet, this game is fantastic as a Pokemon game. The open world, the ability to go through all 3 of the story modes in any order you want. It was freeing. It felt great to tackle things in any order you wanted. If you want to just play through to the Elite Four, just do the gym challenges one by one, you can do that. If you want to mix and match, you can do that. I did. You can go to areas that have Pokemon way stronger than you from the start of the game. And yeah, you're going to struggle to catch things. They won't obey you without the right gym badges, but you can do it. And the most important thing, Breen just said the story made him cry. Almost made him cry, rather. It did make me cry. The story, the characters, they are a step up from every other Pokemon game. I'd put them above Legends Arceus in that regard. The characters are relatable. And their storylines are just so engaging, and you want to see what happens next. No, it doesn't railroad you into doing, Gym 1, Gym 2, Gym 3, Gym 4. Titan 1, Titan 2, Titan 3, Titan 4. Team Starbase 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't make you do that. But I wanted to, at times. Because I had to know what happened with these characters. And I need to stress, wanted to. I didn't feel like I was just going, by the numbers. one thing after the other because that's the way the game played. I wanted to know what happened. And I haven't had that from a Pokemon game. Possibly ever. I was trying to think back, but the story's never engaged me like this before. And it makes the jank so much more frustrating, because under all of that jank is the second best Pokemon game of all time to me. Legends Arceus beats it out because of the refreshing gameplay. But this comes close. And had this run at a stable frame rate, with better visuals, maybe a little more to the post-game, it might have overtaken it. And I hope that this is a sign of what is to come for the Pokemon franchise. Between Legends Arceus and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I used Violet here because that's the one I played, it just shows that the franchise could be so much more than it has been in the past, decade or so, when it felt so iterative. And I hope they follow through with it. I really do. They need so much more time and a bigger budget as well. Bigger budget, more time. And I don't think they'll get it. I think that the games will keep being rushed. But God, I want to hope. For the love of Arceus, let me hope. This franchise means a lot to me. It was my childhood. It has stayed consistent through almost my entire life, apart from that little, phase in Gen 5. It has been a constant. And I want the best for it. Because I don't think I'll ever stop being a Pokemon fan. I love those little critters. I love them so much. I mean, I have a Pokesona. It's a Heliolisk. I love Pokemon. Pokemon's so good. And yeah. I don't think there's anything else I can really say. I want more of this. Please. For the love of God, Game Freak. Pokemon Company, give them more time. Get other studios involved. I don't care what you have to do. Screw your synchronicity between the trading card game and the anime and all of that extra stuff. I don't care. I want good games. I want games like this, but polished to a fine Nintendo-like sheen. All I want. More cute critters. I've gotten over the fact that they've stopped the Pokédex being every Pokemon. Sure, whatever. Just give me more. Riel, are you just joining us? Welcome. My games of the year are in no particular order. I just did Pokemon Legends Arceus, which I feel beats this out just a bit. But yes, great game. Great game. Pokemon has had a fantastic showing this year, and I hope it's a sign of things to come. Albeit with more polish in future, please. Right. Oh, you just... Okay, see you next year! Take care! Hope you're doing well. Happy New Year. Right. We have one more game to talk about, and I don't think it's going to be a surprise to anybody at all. However, that was not the right video for me to start. So why do I still hear it? Okay, yeah. It's Elden Ring. And... wow. Wow, 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 wow. Dark Souls, as I've said already when I was talking about Dark Souls 3, Dark Souls is one of my favourite games of all time. And when From Software announced Elden Ring, and said that it was going to be open world, I was hesitant. I thought, is this going to be like so many other open worlds that feels barren and lifeless? I mean, barren and lifeless is so much of the Souls series, so it would make sense, but like, there's nothing to do in a lot of open worlds. You travel a mile to get to one point of interest, and then there's nothing else for another mile around. And I didn't have immediate interest. I didn't watch a single Elden Ring trailer. I didn't keep up with any of the news. I heard they're working on a game, George R. R. Martin is helping write it, it's going to be open world. That's what I knew. And it released, and I didn't play it. Didn't get it at release. I got it a little bit after release. Somebody on a forum I frequent had accidentally purchased 2 copies, and I bought the second copy off him. Because no one likes accidentally wasting money. So, bought that off him, made his money back. And it sat in my Steam library. It sat in my Steam library until October. October of this year. And myself, having just started streaming, decided I'll stream Elden Ring. I'll play Elden Ring for the first time on stream. I think that'll be fun. Oh boy, it was fun. It still is fun. My playthrough is ongoing. And I can already say that it might be one of my favourite games of all time. The open world is done so well. Like, people always talk about getting distracted in games. They see a shiny thing and they go off the beaten path. And that leads them to another shiny thing. That's what Elden Ring is. There is something around every corner. The world is massive. Really, really, really massive. It's colossal. And there's still something around every corner. It is so densely packed with content that I don't think I'll ever actually find it all. I'm forcing myself to hydrate here, just a moment. Don't want to destroy my voice. There's so much. So much. They give you a horse, they let you speed things up, which is perfect. And you can just wander for hours and just keep finding stuff. And as a result, the order in which you do the story isn't set in stone. You can go through an area, find a boss, get your ass kicked over and over and over again by that boss, and then go, you know what? I'm not ready for this. And you can leave. And you can progress in other ways, in other areas. You can find something that does work for you. Something can beat. And then, later, you've leveled up a few times, you've upgraded your equipment, you have more experience under your belt, you go back to the boss you were struggling with, and you kick their ass. It's great! It's so rewarding. And there's so much of it. I'm 90 hours into my playthrough, over 90 hours in. I haven't spent this long in a Souls game. Like, just trying to do a single playthrough. I spent less time 100%ing Dark Souls 3. And it just keeps going. If I want to 100% this game, which I do, it's going to take me a couple of 100 hours. And it feels fair. That's been said about, like, all the Souls games, I feel. Maybe not Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 has a bit more bullshit in it. But for the most part, the games are fair. if I die, I feel like I fucked up. There's something I haven't, like, learned right yet. I can analyze the animations and I can go, oh, that's what I should have done. I need to get better at my reaction times. This is skill-based. And I feel that, you know, by the time I finished each boss, yeah, mechanically, I was superior. I had the reflexes. I had the know-how. It was skill that got me through it. And yes, you can go back to areas that are a little lower level on average and blitz through them with high-level equipment. Sure. But I feel that's the minority, and for the most part, it's just skill, getting you through each and every encounter. And that's so rewarding when you pull through. So rewarding. It keeps the typical Souls style of storytelling. Things are obscure. Things are up for interpretation. You'll find a whole bunch of lore in optional characters' dialogue and item descriptions. You have to piece stuff together. And that still works. It absolutely still works. And if you're dumb like me, if you don't quite pick up on stuff, you can just find synopses on YouTube. The popular interpretations of things. You can just look that up, and you'll have a good time. Because it's a story well told. And it all comes together so nicely. And once I'm through with Elden Ring, I'm looking forward to watching those videos. I'm looking forward to finding out more about these characters in this world. What is actually going on? What is the Elden Ring? I don't know what the Elden Ring is. I know it's shattered. They made that clear. But they don't make much clear. At least not from my perspective. And it'll be great. It'll be great to someday get all that explained to me. But that's for after I get through the game. Will I beat Melania in the next stream? Tomorrow? Probably not, but I'm going to try. I'm going to keep bashing my head against that, and I'm going to get skillful enough to beat her. And I feel motivated to do so. If I wasn't a variety streamer, I'd be streaming this every day. Wouldn't that be great? Beating Melania for the start of 2023. That'd be wonderful. I haven't talked about the visuals. This game is beautiful. Gorgeous. The particle effects are immaculate. And like, I'm playing right now. I keep saying, as I've been playing on stream, I'll stop next to a vista and I'll be like, that's wallpaper material. Everything in this game is wallpaper material. It's so pretty. There are so many gorgeous views. And I don't think I'll ever tire of this game. I mean, of course, I'll beat it. I'll 100% it eventually, I'm sure of it. And I'll move on. But it will remain so fun to play. I can just see myself returning to it from time to time, just to give a run through. Maybe I won't explore every nook and cranny. I won't obsess over every little underground cavern full of items. Every world boss roaming around, just ready to aggro you at the worst possible time. Maybe I won't go after all of them. But I can see myself playing it again and again. Because it's special. And if I had to put one game above all the others in the list for this year, Elden Ring, yeah, it would probably stand at the top. And it wouldn't be it wouldn't be better than the others in every way. Because again, different games for different situations, different moods. But God, it's up there. It is most definitely up there. Truly a special game. But now, I'm going to... Really, did I get rid of that tab? Why did I get rid of that tab? I'd love to hear about some of your favourite games. Just briefly. Any of you have any games that I haven't mentioned that have stood out to you this year? I'm sure I've missed stuff. I'm sure there are games that are absolutely fantastic that I haven't gotten a chance to play. And I want to be told, hey Azzy, you should probably look into this when you can. Or have I just covered all the best ones? Sekiro, yep, absolutely. It's on my list after Elden Ring. We're getting right into that. I'm also excited to play that. And I think it's going to tear me a new one, but I'm going to embrace the tearing. Don't take that out of context. Yeah, I'm sure Sekiro is going to be great. I'm very much looking forward to it. However many Elden Ring sessions we have to get through, we'll get that. We'll get that. Cult of the Lamb, yes. I didn't get around to Cult of the Lamb. It looks so good, but I just haven't gotten around to picking it up yet. I've heard they're working on some new content for it, so I'm hoping that by the time I do get around to Cult of the Lamb, it'll just be the best package it can be. You discovered Ghost of a Tale this year. I love Ghost of a Tale. I played that last year. If anyone hasn't played Ghost of a Tale, it is a little stealth game where you play as a mouse trying to find his family, and it's a bit janky. It's an indie production, but it's so charming. So charming. Wonderful characters. I would absolutely recommend Ghost of a Tale, no question at all in my mind. And come on, it has mice. We love mice, right? Don't turn me into one, we're about to end the stream soon. So good, so good, and you're doing it anyway. Could a moderator please refund Pistachian? Also, Desperados 3 and Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire I have played. I do love Slay the Spire. I have not looked into Desperados 3. You can do that. I think Vinny's around. Vinny knows how to do that pretty quickly, I think. Make sure Pistachian's refunded for the mouse. He's not getting his full value out of it. Yeah, Desperados 3 I'll have to look into because I've heard good things. Haven't even looked at a screenshot. A stealth game? Not what I expect. Not how I would expect. Yeah, yes, Breed, I do have to give you the rundown of actual mod actions. I have neglected that, and that is my bad. Thank you, Vinny. Thank you, Vinny. I'm going to look up Desperados real quick. Just super quick, see what I'm missing out on. Every other game I've either played or have on my radar already. Desperados 3. Hardcore tactical stealth game in a Wild West scenario. I'm going to have to look into this. It might not be my kind of game, but I should probably give it a shot. Take a look at things. While we're on Desperados 3, I'll say I have not played Shadow Tactics nor heard of it. So apparently this is just a developer that's completely avoided my radar. That's a shame. I'm usually very good at this stuff. Now, Sonic Frontiers. I have not seen such mixed reception for a game in a long time. I'm not a Sonic fan. I'm not a Sonic fan at all. I'll say that outright. I've not played the old Commandos games. No, I've at least heard of those. Yeah, my favourite Sonic game is probably All-Star Racing Transformed, or the pinball game on the Game Boy Advance. Regular Sonic gameplay doesn't work for me. And I have heard two sides of Sonic Frontiers. I have heard this game is an absolute trash fire, and I have heard this is how Sonic should be from now on. I've heard both. Never from the same people. Like, it feels like the epitome of mixed reviews from what I've heard. You have the lovers and the haters, and very few people just going, it's alright. Feels like everyone's at the extremes. Maybe I'll play it someday, maybe I won't. But I definitely know of it, and will keep an eye out in future. Especially if it goes really cheap at some point. If it goes really cheap, I may as well, you know? See if a Sonic game can impress me for the first time, basically ever. And to make it clear, I did grow up with Sonic. So it's nothing about not having a childhood with Sonic. I played Adventure and Adventure 2 and all them. Never jived with me as much as most. Super Hot. Love Super Hot. I was a Kickstarter backer on Super Hot after playing the original alpha from, I think it was a Game Jam. I played that, loved it, backed it on Kickstarter, got the VR version. Super Hot's a great game. Super Hot is the most innovative game of all time. It's not, but I love the hype train around it. I have not played Mind Control Delete yet. Night in the Woods is a game that I played a few hours of, but then fell off. I need to get back to it at some point. That might be a game I pick up on Steam, because I played it on Switch. I might have to pick it up on Steam and play it from the start on stream. That sounds like it could be fun. I played it enough to know that I like Greg. Greg commits crimes. Greg's great. Right. I was waiting for Sushi to go live, and he has gone live. So... Ooh, Risk of Rain. Yes, I do enjoy Risk of Rain. Good game, good game. I need to play some Risk of Rain 2 as well. I need to find people who haven't really played much of it and won't boost me through it. I need to find some fresh faces and play some Risk of Rain 2 on stream. That'd be great. Right, but yes, Sushi's gone live. He is the one I want to raid. He is the one I want to watch. He's doing his own end of 2022 show. So I'm going to take us there. We're back tomorrow for the first stream of the year. More Elden Ring. So you're not getting rid of me that easy. I hope to see some of you there. As always, all of the socials and stuff are down below. Twitter account, Discord server. Treat stream is down today for the new year. Thank you, Steal the Waffles. I appreciate the follow. It means a lot. So if you want to treat me to a meal for the end of the year, I would advise going to the Throne wish list, and I have a tier there that lets you just give me the money equivalent to get a meal for the evening. But no pressure, be financially responsible. Right, we should have some credits. We had a raid and some follows, I believe, and we'll get into a raid for Sushi. So thank you to Breen and Vagra and Vinny for moderating today. Thank you, Dark Kryptonite, Drew the Firefighting Fox, Getabuk Fox, Draken, Steal the Waffles, and Zane the Strange for the follows. Thank you to Rex for subscribing for the third month in a row. It's massively appreciated. And thank you to Getabuk and Twisted Snakes for the raids today. Let's get into the raid. Happy New Year, everybody. May we have a full year of streams ahead of us in 2023. Take care.